What if the wealth that built entire nations was never earned, but taken? Before capitalism, before the factories rose, before the wealth of nations was written into history, there were people, hands that built it, lives that paid for it. Bloodline Walkers. The people who built the West. By the late 1800s, something had changed. Industrial power was no longer just about factories. It was no longer just about cities. It was about reach. European nations began expanding their economic systems across the world. Not just through trade, but through control. Railways were built across colonies, ports expanded, resources extracted at scale. Raw materials flowed outward, finished goods flowed back. This was not simple commerce. This was design. It was a system designed to move value in one direction. Africa, Asia, and the Americas were no longer just regions. They had become supply zones for an expanding industrial system, and the system kept growing. As this global expansion accelerated, banks and financial institutions became even more powerful. They financed railways and colonies. They funded shipping companies, insured cargo, investments, and trade routes. Money began moving faster than goods. Investments made in London or Paris could shape economies thousands of miles away. Debt became a tool of influence, because if a region depended on foreign loans, depended on foreign control. This is when capitalism became more than industry, became a financial network that could direct resources across continents. Power was no longer just physical, it was financial. Africa played a central role in this expansion, but not on equal terms. Land was reorganized to produce export crops. Minerals were extracted for industrial use. Labor systems were reshaped to serve global demand. Entire economies were redesigned around what Europe needed: gold, rubber, cotton, palm oil, copper. The wealth moved outward. Development remained elsewhere. Nothing about this was accidental. It was structured. It was managed. It was built into the system. As resources flowed in, industrial nations experienced rapid growth. Cities expanded. Factories multiplied. Rail networks spread across Europe and North America. Living standards rose for many within these countries. New industries appeared. New technologies were developed. New financial markets emerged. But behind this growth was something often left out of the story. The system depended on continuous access to external resources: cheap labor, cheap raw materials, expanding markets. Without this global flow, industrial expansion would have slowed. The system needed the world. The world was organized to supply it. Over time, the effects of this system became clear. Some regions industrialized rapidly. Others remained locked into supplying raw materials. Wealth accumulated in financial centers. Extraction continued in resource regions. It's created a pattern that still exists today. Developing economies. But these categories did not appear naturally. They were shaped by decades of unequal economic relationships. The structure of global capitalism created different starting points, and those starting points still shape opportunity today. By the early 20th century, capitalism was no longer a regional system. It had become global. Trade networks connected continents. Financial markets moved capital across borders. Corporations operated internationally. The foundations built during the era of slavery and colonial expansion had evolved into a worldwide economic structure. The system had changed its appearance, but its foundations remained. Flows of value, control through finance, growth concentrated in powerful centers. The world economy we live in today did not appear suddenly. It was built, step by step, system by system, bloodline by bloodline, because wealth built power. But it didn't build it equally. It concentrated it. So the question is, if wealth created advantage, who still holds it today? If this truth awakened you, walk with us. Subscribe to Bloodline Walkers.